All right. My guests today are both songwriters, producers, and multi-instrumentalists, and the creative driving force behind the legendary Australian band, the Delta Rigs. Their combined accolades show an impressively diverse portfolio, and between them, they've got multiple gold records and ARIA awards, and have collaborated with artists such as Mark Ronson, Diplo, Portugal the Man, Wolfmother, Jet, Dope Lemon, Teen Jesus, and the Gene Teasers, and have toured internationally with acts such as the Foo Fighters, Kiss, Lenny Kravitz, and Simple Minds. They recently got a call from Billy Corgan and they became his backing band for his Australian tour. And the boys flew into Melbourne today after completing a tour with the UK's Kaiser Chiefs. Elliot Hammond, Alex Markwell, welcome.
Hello, Dave.
Hello, Dave. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you. Nice to be back.
Thanks. How'd the tour go?
It was brief. It was an arena tour, which is always great for us because we feel like, quite comfortable on those size stages. The job of a support band, some people or some groups will dial that in. We've always taken that pretty seriously because we, as you just mentioned in our very impressive list of accolades, I wish my bank balance looked as impressive as that list did. But the job of a support band, especially when you get to kind of like arenas or stadiums, we take it pretty seriously, because it's your role is to go out there and get this crowd fired up. It's not only about like doing it for ourselves, but we understand that people have paid a lot of money for these tickets. Music's expensive to go and see these days, and it's we've got 40 minutes or whatever to take people away from their normal bullshit, or their normal stuff that they've
bullshit.
Normal bullshit they've been dealing with or whatever's going on in their lives, and just bring some joy. And on top of that, if we can make it as hard as possible for the headliner to come out, that we know that we've done our job well, and that's something we take a lot of pride in as
Absolutely.
well.
So, Alex, I know you've done a lot of trips over to the States in the last few years to do songwriting.
Yeah, I've done
We've shared
joints.
Zoom calls, my reasonable time, your 9 a.m. still up at night in LA, songwriting. But you've done a lot of stuff in Nashville over the last couple of years as well, a few writing trips.
Yeah, I've had a few little Nashville runs because I know traditionally it's always like country music and stuff, but it seems a lot more diverse nowadays. So the type of music has come out hasn't been country; it's just been a huge mix of.
What I'm really interested in is, like, I know you guys write in lots of different modalities, but have you noticed that there are different cultures around the songwriting process in, say, Melbourne or Australia or whatever, but compared to like maybe even LA to Nashville? Or is there like, because from what I've heard, and I've never done a songwriting session in Nashville, but it's quite codified there.
There is that traditional approach to it, and lots of it seems, there's ones that are just based on like basically it's like, all right, let's get some harmony, melody, lyrics. Doesn't care about the feel, tempo, just like get it done. Yeah. Whereas I've always gone over there and kept the same sort of platform that we like to work off, which I feel like for me, I like a groove and a bit of like, that.
We're kind of like, if you've got a bass line, a vocal, and a sick groove, that's where we normally start. But that's the first time I've heard you say this. I'm quite interested in this.
And so what I did is like, if it was something that I was like, okay, they're really stuck to this method, I was like, just went for it. But the most fun ones and the ones that ended up being good, I felt, I was like, we could do that. I was like, do you want to go grab some lunch? And they're like, what do you mean lunch? I was like, well, you be free for the rest of the day? They're like, yeah. It's like, all right, I'll go grab some lunch. Like throwing curveballs in, because then you actually, I feel like building a relationship and getting to know each other instead of just this weird, awkward speed dating approach. Yeah. And one of these ones, he's like, I just pull out a guitar. And I was like, do you want to fire up a fucking drum loop and just get some sick sort of grooves, like bass line, tempo, groove. And then for me personally, that invites melodies and lyric and just I don't know. That's.
I mean, you touched on something interesting though with the small, like, do you want to go get a bite to eat or something? Because we in 2017, Rudy and I went over and did a big songwriting stint in LA, and I feel like a lot of that just touching on what you said about Nashville, it's like a lot of our network there just kind of packed up shop and moved to Nashville. Right?
Yeah, that's.
They weren't country guys. So it was just like that's just where it all seemed to go.
Yeah.
Now they all wear cowboy hats, obviously.
Yeah. Don't we all?
But yeah, that kind of, we went in pretty hard, and we were doing, like a session every day, and I'm only speaking for me, but I'm assuming it was the same for Rudy. It kind of like, it wore me out because there was no, like he's talking about, there was no like initial connection of like, let's go have a drink somewhere, or let's, I don't know,
Interesting.
go for a walk through the park or have lunch, to give you any foundation. You'd kind of go into the room and you'd be like, all right, here's the brief. Like the guy from Goldfinger, what's his name? Like,
I know.
he's like got this new pop punk band and they need 4 songs that sound like this, and like within 10 minutes there's someone being like, we're on, it's like, I don't write music like that, and I realized trying to that I can't, because like it's going back to that Hemingway thing. I can only write music when I feel like writing it and when I have a connection with it. I can't just. Hats off to the people that can, and I'm sure there are
doing it
people
like
out there
that
that can do that.
Doing it like that, I feel would leave my cup completely empty. Whereas if you go, I don't know, it's like, and also building long-term relationships with people that you enjoy their company and you like how they operate and they're good at their craft is more important than just throwing 5,000 ideas and hoping one sticks. And by, say just like, oh, do you want to go hang out for a bit? You start talking, and then all of a sudden, like someone might bring up a story and you'd be like, that's a sick story, so let's do something about that. Fuck the brief.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then you end up with something actually.
Like, how do you write authentically if you don't have any common ground?
I don't believe you can.
If you don't, you end up you end up getting nervous and you fall back to your fucking little. You go, I've got these ones that I know will work. They don't mean shit, but at least it'll get it done and make
millennial whoopisms.
Yeah, not make me look like a kook.
Or the clave thing, ding, ding.
You don't.
Yeah, totally.
Ding,
Fuck
ding,
that thing.
15,000
You can dial it in
fucking
and end
singles.
up with a cookie cutter.
Cookie cucker. I think that's,
That's
even better.
Cookie cucker.
Yeah. It's like a good song's getting cucked by a shit song.
It's like, the good songs watching some real shit song being made.
But it makes sense. Though. I've always wondered, like, how do they do those 4-hour sessions? And I know that there are people who can do it, right? Like the Stapletons of the world and the Dan Wilsons of the world and the Hardys of the world.
Yeah, but Stapleton's got a red hot band as well.
Yeah.
And he's got his people around him, so he can. But I'm sure he'll bring in the Kings of Leon guys did that on that first record, Youth and Young Manhood. They were a band, but they brought in another guy to kind of just help position things into, and that's fine. That's different to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The LA thing is because we used to be really, that young band thing of like, no, we write the songs, we're the band. But the LA thing is like opened her up to, I think I was talking about this the other week, like just the beauty of collaboration and how like allowing someone else with a completely objective opinion into your ecosystem can really help just shake things up and come at it from a different point. And you're like, oh, fuck.
And sometimes that's great because you'll even get pushed into I feel like with the rigs, that's when we've made the most progress, is when we both feel uncomfortable in the like, where is this song going? It's not something we normally, that's when I feel like now, like we're onto something if it's like feeling a bit.
Well, we're about to enter into a couple of days with like my band Sweet Talk and you, if that exact reason is like bring somebody else into our space that we respect and that knows who we are and see what happens.
You challenge.
Yeah.
And that's always, that's fine to do, especially when because as we were discussing, we have that relationship. So we can push the boat out a bit. You can't, and it's like, maybe we're not going to go, and we're going to be fine with that. We can go in different directions. But when you're dealing with someone that you don't really know and these cold kind of sessions, there's no, I don't know. I feel like this, that even the stuff that we've done in the last 5 years, with the Australian, the big ones are obviously, the stuff with Jet and Dope Lemon and Wolf Mother and stuff like that. But we're also working with, Teen Jesus and Ty and James Organ and the Terrys, and that stuff's all, for me, come from a genuine connection that we've had. Even with, it's not like we've ever been, the only person I was ever put in a room with was actually Angus. Angus was I'm talking about Angus Stone, we were kind of set up like a dating thing. It was like he'd seen a rig show and I got a call from my manager, Jeremy, at the time, and he was like, oh, Angus wants to meet you for a beer and he's trying to put together some band. But we were in this like rock and roll mode, us back then. This was like, I was like, why does Angus Stone want to talk to me? Like he just sits in a corner and plays little acoustic folk songs. Like what could I possibly, bring? But yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is the connections that I've had, and I feel like the same with Rudy, where we've actually gotten somewhere. It's not just that they're big names. We've had a personal relationship with them already, and then it's like it moves into something musically and creative.
I personally really enjoy work. It's like the development of an artist, so you can see a bit of yourself. Like, I know what this is like. I wish I kind of did what you're doing, what like now
Earlier.
and then it's
Yeah.
also it's exciting seeing, like just seeing younger artists sort of just kind of start clicking and getting it. And you're like, sick. That's that thing that and I'm glad it's like if you get to just be a small part of seeing them just kind of working through it and be like, okay. And
if you could you could make their lives a little bit easier by just kind of slipstreaming them through the mistakes that we all made in all of our various 30 bands before.
A good one you bring up is just like that idea that you need to hang on to the craft of songwriting, like as if that's the gold standard you'll be held to. And if you give that away for somehow you're a less legitimate artist. We just toured with the Red Clay Strays, which I mentioned a couple of times, and they have two songwriters. One is in the band, the guitar player, and the other is their social media manager. So the guy who's filming all their stuff and making all their content is their other key songwriter.
That's wild.
I know, it's a brother of the singer, so there's a connection there. But those are the two guys that songwrite, and no one else at that point had done much songwriting for the band at all.
Well, yeah, I mean, even Sticky Fingers have like their other primary songwriter is not even in the band. Is a producer called Taras that does a lot of stuff, and it's Paddy and him that do a lot of that.
Yeah, and so it's not even the singer then in that case.
And that's what I've been trying to do.
Right.
I've been trying to get someone else in on guitar so I can just sit there and write songs and send someone else out.
You're trying to do that Omar Rodriguez, bringing in John Frusciante to do that as well too.
It's like, hey, I have an idea. Instead of me playing the guitars, I don't, but someone else.
Well, we did. We tried that. We tried to bring in Soren from Sweet Talk just recently on the last one too.
I feel like we did this on another song. Wasn't that the song
Soren?
we were working on? Yeah, it was Soren, but I feel like there was another time.
I mean, as far as, we're getting sidetracked here, but I feel like our rule with the rigs is whoever can play the part the best plays it in the room. And so that means that, Monty doesn't play heaps of bass on the records because Rudy's a great bass player. So, but Monty's a great acoustic guitar player. So he'll play heaps of the acoustic guitar,
that's interesting.
And that would be the same. I'm not pressured. If we've got a drum beat and Rudy's already got that down, like Rudy can put it down. I don't need to put down the drums on the thing.
So, we'll pivot to the Delta Rigs for a bit. So, when you guys have been playing together for a long time, I remember seeing you, 15 years ago playing and
Hard
was
rock.
absolutely blown away by. I think it was underneath the Gold Coast Arts Centre
I remember
in like
that
a
show.
little
I remember what you're
basement
talking
or
about.
something. And I thought, fuck, I'd love to play with those guys. And eventually, I managed to do.
You manifested it.
I manifested that. Yeah,
That's how
like
we
I
met as
manifested
well.
today. That's right.
I don't think you manifested it. I think I saw that leather jacket you had when you got back from London. You've been playing in the punk band.
shot-
Still
circuit.
have that
I was like-
jacket.
I was
The
like,
shot
I need
perfecto.
that kind of band. yeah.
But I mean, you guys were a rock and roll band then, but you always were ahead of the game at that time. Like always the most driven, kind of career-oriented people I knew at the time. But you pivoted towards production and producing your songs in a more studio-centric fashion after the first couple of records where it was more live.
Yeah.
How did you guys develop that between yourselves? Because obviously you're both drummers, you're a piano player, you can play keys as well, can play guitar. You've got all these multi-instrumentalists in the band. Like, how do you manage that? And when did you figure out like a system that worked in that context?
Well, we had this studio that was like an old fire station. It was in.
As you and me.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
And this will lead well into the song you're going to play because the first incarnation of it
Oh, no way.
was
Yeah.
done there.
But I think Rudy had, started going down that rabbit's warren because he had been producing bands and stuff. So he was getting into the production stuff and kind of pulled me into it a bit more, talking about, you mentioned, like, let's talk about a bass drum sound. Like, that can be a signature sound for our band. Let's talk about, like, what guitar tones we're using. How can we create consistency over the songs by developing a bit of a narrative, a sonic narrative, like, if that makes any sense, to bring all the songs in to make them make sense. And I think that was really driven by Rudy, but I kind of fell in love with the idea because he'd just, sit there and come up with some wild shit and then play it back to me, and it had changed the trajectory of where I was even thinking the song was going. So Supersonic Casualties for us was like real game changer in not only in the songwriting style, also what we were singing about, but then on top of that, the production. I feel like that was like an anchor point for when
Let's
we were
have a
like,
listen.
yeah.
Let's crank it up.
Yeah.
All that was left from the storm was the shadow the sand and the snow.
Forgot about those delay throws.
I like his organ bit.
Sweetest blue. Pain, pain, go away. Come again another day. Don't want to let you through. Shame,
We discovered sub bass, synth bass.
It's the Pharrell chords too.
Yeah, that.
No, the Pharrell Williams.
Yeah, the feel change, no tempo change.
Yeah.
What a drum part. Bit of slidey in there. Cool, man.
Yeah, we know the song.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like that has an entire universe that you've painted. Like it's like peeking through a hole into some other world that doesn't exist.
Great analogy.
I remember this is, I think, when I discovered how to play major and minor seventh chords on keys.
On keys.
Yeah. That's I was like,
I thought that intro was like, because we're huge Pharrell Williams fans, and NERD was a big influence on the band,
boom,
which is a.
boom,
No, I'm talking about the. That's what at the start you're like, I found these Pharrell chords.
Yeah. They're the major sevenths.
Yeah.
They're just.
But the original version of that is even in more. Well, I mean, it's very somber. It's like actually like a lo-fi kind of. You can find that if you want on Spotify.
Well, that's the one we
but-
started at the fire station studio. And I think part of the reason we had to do it is because it was late at night, and we had to keep it like we can't play the drums too loud because someone will fucking phone up and the cops will,
Yeah.
But then, as you're saying, like, the change in production, it's just like you might have gone like, fuck. But the good thing about that is challenging things and putting them out of your comfort zone. It's like once you've worked your way through it, I think it would have just created a whole load of other ideas, and you would have gone to me, and I would have gone like, fuck, that's what. And then
it did. Well,
it's like a launch pad.
The whole album does that. Like that's off an album. My favorite Riggs album called Dip Sabazius, and
I've always wondered how to say that.
Yeah, I know. I don't. That's a long story about the origins of that title, but I think that with that album we really found like our sound, and we would like. Truthfully, Rudy and I were on a whole different trip, and again, Sester was asking about this the other day. Like, we were trying to make a Beastie Boys record, so there's a whole version of Dip Sabazius that's just like a Beastie Boys version, and we released it afterwards just to be like, if you want to see the blueprint, like. But then I think on that trail, we got to this sonic kind of point, and we're like, we've found our, and then our sound, and so the opening track, It's Over, which was what we just opened with on this Kaiser Chiefs tour, was like, Rudy's genius behind the scenes, kind of stacking vocals and building this kind of, like this scene, this, it's the opening track of the album, and it's got these kind of descending kind of, harmonies and this production that he used that none of us in the band had ever heard before. I remember him showing me and Monty just got so fucking excited. He was just like, I think he's still like that. You've never reached a higher tier for Monty than that point, but
it's even, I think this is when because I was listening to actually another podcast the other day, and it's like talking about music, and it's, say, for example, they were saying like the White Stripes, that there are drums and guitar. And they're like, what do you mean there's no bass? You can't do that. And he's like, well, fucking yes, I can. And they did. And it's just like, this is also when we stopped using guitar amps and those fuzz tones that are like, I think we tapped into the importance of having, for the use of a better term, the signature sounds. Like something that you can hear it, and without even knowing the song, you'd be like, that's that fucking band. And we keep this going with everything we do.
Fully. But that's also amazing. You just like made me remember when we like presented this album to our management, because the last album was this big rock and roll record, Triple J were all over it. And then the management like, guys, what are you doing? This is career suicide. You need the big rock and roll record. Like, this is not that. This is like you on some weird trip. You guys have been taking acid. What are you guys doing? Like, we had been taking acid. We had been doing all that stuff. But that album actually that was the Triple J feature album. That was the biggest album. Like, that like flipped the script for us and got a whole new fan base. So it's like, sometimes as well, like, don't fucking listen to your manager. Don't listen to the music industry. They don't know shit.
Yeah.
They're just trying to play it safe and they don't want to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
The good thing about being a musician is we barely have a job as it is. You know, we work at cash converters on the side. Shane from DZ Death Rays was stage teching for us the other night. It's like, you don't see what goes on behind the scenes.
Don't let them take you out to lunch, get you drunk, and then send you on your way before you've even aired any of your grievances.
Yeah, and then they
bill you back.
for the lunch. Yeah.
Yes, that you paid for.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got something to talk about. Hey, fellas, beer? Yeah, a couple of beer.
That was that classic thing they used to do when we were signed to Sony. We'd get all annoyed.
We storm in there unannounced.
They'd be like, all right, we can tell you guys are upset. Let's go down to Trey Scalini. You've been there as well. You got on the tab at Trey Scalini as well. We'll sort it all out down there, and they'd get us so drunk we wouldn't bring up anything, and they'd just send us home again. We'd just get the bill. I mean,
And you feel like you had the meeting you intended to have.
And 2 days later, you'd be like,
Clever.
fuck this. But the thing is, it happened.
we didn't
time
get that
after
digipack.
It happened time after time, and we fell for it every time.
No, it's easy too when you're in your 20s. And
That's it. Yeah. So I know that, Elliot, you come from like a drumming background, rhythm, groove. You mentioned is so super important. You were talking about lyrical content and just like where you pull ideas from. You said this was kind of pivotal and pivoting there, but like, how do you guys think about lyrics? You know, I've got a very specific approach that I use based on my influences, I suppose, and what I'm into. But how do you guys go about that lyric writing?
I mean, everyone from the band contributes lyrics. It's not me. I mean, I would say I'm the primary like lyricist, but you know, Rudy will throw in stuff, Monty will as well, but for me, it's like I've kind of, you know, I'm a big fan of that beat generation of writers, you know, Bill Burroughs and Jack Kerouac and stuff like that, and this kind of idea of you know, the social climate and social commentary and what's going on, and it's like I try to pull from a variety of stuff, even when we're doing an album, and I sometimes include that in the liner notes. I'll kind of have a look at what's going on with the politics at the time, what's happening in the world, what people are caring about, just to like bring it into a certain kind of thing where I can draw from and then kind of start to tell a tale. It's very much in that, you know, we're both huge Bob Dylan fans as well. And, you know, my old man just, you know, that was all we listened to when I was growing up. So Bob Dylan seemed completely rational to me. You know, but I think if you heard him for the first time, you'd be like, what is this
What's he
nut
talking
job
about?
up about?
Yeah.
But it all made sense.
Yeah.
And because he's like, and much like I'm in love with Ireland and Dublin and the people over there, that I like the idea of just talking in metaphors all the time. You don't need to be direct about anything. You can find your own meaning in things. And I think a lot of the Riggs lyrics, they definitely have subject matters. They definitely are going somewhere, but a lot of it is metaphorical.
Think they're nonsensical, but it's like
no, it's not.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
like,
not. It's actually considered stuff that's like, and the stuff that's nonsensical is supposed to be like that too. That's kind of like ear candy or something.
Yeah.
To, like when words pop out that you, again, Rudy talking about these hooks when you hear this band, you hear the guitar tones, you hear, you know, like a song called like, you know, like Telescope House or a
Marmalade Shoes.
Marmalade Shoes or Supersonic Casualties or, you know, these kind of lines are all stuff that I've kind of tried to feed into this world. And so for this, that's, you know, in the Rigs, but I still apply that to anything that I write with, whatever I'm doing. I'm kind of drawing from what's happening at the time. If I'm working with, you know, the Terrys just recently, like we were working on a song and I'm like, you know, talking to Finchy and I'm like, well, tell me a story, man. Like, you know, like, tell me, like, do you have any mates? Like, what happened? Have you gone traveling? He's like, yeah, man, I went to Mexico once with my friend and like, and he got arrested, but he had $10 in his sock and he gave it to him and we got out of it. I'm like, well, that's our song. Like, Tommy got arrested down in Mexico, gave him $10. Then we had somewhere to go. You know, it's like we're already on it. It's just you got
to
pulling
set
out
a
this
scene.
Yeah.
I also I sometimes seem to, upon reflection, gravitate towards like, you know, like working through my own fucking heartbreak trauma with many countless failed relationships, and that's like
it's also strange when like with Modern Pressure, like which is big kind of breakup ballad for us, and the title of the album title and the what do you call it?
Lead single.
No, it's like when the song is called what the album is.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I've had a few vodkas now, but whatever.
I thought that was water.
No, this comes right off. Monty was going through the breakup. He wrote the chorus to that. And then Rudy and I heard the chorus and we were like, that's awesome. So I wrote a whole other story. I wasn't going through a breakup. My relationship was fine, but it was like, there's drawing from, because at that time we were working with Elephant and we'd been in the studio with her in LA and she just turned up one day with a shaved head. And it's kind of, whoa. So there's a line in that song, Modern Pressure, and even though Monty's talking about his breakup, I'm trying to remember the line.
Stranger in a state of pain or cut her hair and change her name.
Yeah, she cut her hair and changed her name. I'm talking about Elephant,
But they're related ideas, right? Like she's going through some kind of pain that she felt she needed to physically embody, and that's probably how he's feeling about it. He's putting his pain into a song.
Yeah,
you never know the context just by listening to it.
Yeah,
it could be a combination of different stories,
but it's painting that vignette, that picture, those little moments that people can relate to.
Well, sometimes it's easier to tap into someone else's trauma and write about it than it is your own, because I haven't written about some of the most traumatic shit I've been through. I'm too scared to write about.
It goes back into the writing. It's like sometimes writing it's like if you're writing a song that you're not going to sing, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to do it unless you have a complete song, as opposed to like, well, I don't know what you're going through. But it's like you feel like you're a bit of an imposter, and they're expressing of what
there's always a little
through.
piece of you in each thing, right? There's always a real lived experience in each song, but it can be 10 different experiences kind of that paint a new experience, you know? I often find I look back on songs I've written 10 years ago and I had no idea what they were about then. And I look back and I'm like, fuck, that's what that was about.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? And then I'm like, holy shit, I was kind of like preempting. I was almost seeing the future.
Your subconscious is coming out a little bit. Yeah.
I can tell which songs were me at 4:00 in the morning, sitting on a balcony when we did our LA thing, just by myself with headphones while everyone's getting ready and going off to work, and I'm just sitting there with a laptop and headphones, a little MIDI keyboard and a guitar, as opposed to the, just the regular sort of normal life thing.
Yeah, when you clock off at 4 p.m. and you jump in the car, go home and walk the dog. Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So Elephant, let's have a listen.
Emily, I'm on my way. What's up now? Again, really? Calling.
Yeah.
What up? I
love
always gotta do this.
Their own backup.
Yeah.
Don't think I'm dead birds, Emily. Don't rip the dog's claw. Don't knock my damn paws now, Emily. We used to like you before. Cause we could have some fun, right, didn't we? Shoplifting, no crime. But now you're still
And this was just such a childishly fun.
Yeah.
This were like, because you're there. Oh, no, where is it? Is it the middle? Oh, it's the middle of it, yeah.
Why you always dig up the...
Why you always on the hammer all the time?
Yeah, on the hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heavy.
That old shot, I got you good now, huh, Emily? Yeah. She said your daddy loves my daddy. And I love coasting.
So this, I'll talk about it after.
I never got to this bit.
Yeah, this is my favourite part. This is like,
Stand on laser.
daddy knows my daddy. And he knows my dad.
Daddy knows my daddy. Daddy knows
The only one we ever had.
just stop doing what you're doing, Emily. And everything be fine.
Cool, man. Lovely.
We're still family.
So was that post or pre-shaved head?
Pre-shaved head, I think. When we went to do the record, we wrote it she was in town in Australia, and we
That was one of those sessions which was like another thrown together.
But it was also on that clicked. What we're talking about with this, we were kind of thrown in the room, and Elephant, she's a wild Swedish rock star, she's a complete man eater, just powerful person, and we went outside to have a cigarette, and she was like, I've just been doing all these sessions, and I don't know, she was kind of complaining she'd been doing the cookie cutter thing as well, and I'm like, well, I don't want to do that either, and what do you got? Like, what's like, she's like, well, I kind of sung about everything already. And I'm like, what happened when you were like, you know, like, did you have any, like we got onto talking about animals or something. And she's like, yeah, I actually did have this bird that died and I buried it in this park, and my fucking friend Emily went and dug it up and poked around with it and then reburied it. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
What? Like, she's like, yeah, then she ended up on heroin. And I'm like, okay, this is what this is the song now. Like, let's get into this. But it was another one of those
That's
kind
so
of things,
interesting.
like-
That's the same kind of thing you've said a couple of times now, which is like ask them about themselves and get them to tell you kind of little stories because there's so much in there.
And sometimes people just throw out shit like that.
You do.
They
that
don't
you
think about it.
Yeah. So I'm like, hang on a second. What, she dug up the bird? And then she was
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, that was kind of weird, actually. Like,
And so that's the thing. Is like even just having it not just diving straight into it. It's like, all right, go. Or like, you know, we've done a few things where it's like we figured it out afterwards. There's some German producer, and he's like, I have this idea. And he hit play. It's like a completely finished song. And then we figured out that what he's doing is he has his completely finished song and he's just trying a whole load of different top liners and getting them to throw down. It's like, I'm thinking maybe something like this. And I might do a German accent. Wow, that's amazing.
But that's
This
not
is
really
amazing.
co-writing, right?
Yeah.
Like
No,
top
no,
line.
we
no,
think-
that's different. Yeah.
But if he just
Top
if
line,
we'd
yeah.
gone for a drink or something, he's like, hey, I got all these fucking songs. I'm trying out a whole bunch of people. Do you want to go have a crack? We'd be like, yeah. But he tried. It's like it's just, and then something. If we'd done that, maybe something else would have just happened instead of the rote approach. You know, rote learning.
do we need to
approach, so-
explain that? Like, I mean,
Top
that's-
lining? No,
yeah,
it's all right. But
that's-
one thing I do want to bring up is you guys had this incredible catchphrase that you would talk about every time you come back from LA, which was blow and yell. Maybe that's so.
Yeah,
it's
like show and tell.
And that's kind of like it's kind of show and tell.
show and tell. Yeah.
But it's blow and yell.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it sounds like this is what the German guy was doing, which is kind of like, or is
Well,
it?
I just feel like, I mean, I personally hate, I feel like people spend so much time trying to like show me their demos. And my thing is like, look, I don't actually care about your demos. I want to hear a finished song. Like, can you spend the time that you've spent showing these demos? And that's blow and yell for me. That's
that's
just like,
blow,
yeah.
you're just like, we were talking about it off air, just, you know, your receptors or whatever, needing that instant hit. You get on some blow, you got a demo, you want everyone to like, it's like, shut up, like just like do some art, like actually make it great. I'd have this. No, you go. Yeah.
That is because they want people to go, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Whereas if someone's showing you a demo to be like, hey, where am I going to go with this? Do you want to work on it next week? That's fine.
That's fine.
That's
that's
But
different.
Oh,
it's
I
like
see.
they want affirmation.
They
Like,
want
po-
positive feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is usually involving yelling at each other.
Over
20
a
seconds
plate,
of each.
yeah.
20 seconds of each song.
It's the thing of like grabbing an aux cord and just plugging it in.
Yeah,
That's right.
Fuck.
Yeah. It's just
No one learns anything.
it's
Yeah.
like same logic beat we've all heard
Yeah.
70 times.
Yeah.
And
There's
yeah.
supposed to be some shin quality control over there, fellas. What the fuck?
All
let
right,
me down.
cool. Well, I mean, fuck, I feel like that's good with songwriting. Eh?
Yeah.
Like, let's okay. So I want to. This would probably could be snipped in a bit earlier, but Elliot, you mentioned NERD as a big influence, as much as of an influence as the Rolling Stones.
easily.
Yeah, and I know. Just as a guitar player, I remember nerding out with you many times on like you loved Hendrix, Dwayne Allman, but you also loved comping players like Steve Cropper. I know that still kind of like crops into your
I've
work a little
lent
bit.
way more into I love playing rhythm
Rhythm
guitar
stuff?
more than lead guitar now.
Yeah,
Well, that's interesting because you're always ahead of the beat. So how does that work?
Not stupidly. I've worked on it. That's why I'm good at bass though, because we're hanging out with someone who's did Beastie Boys records and stuff, and I was talking about it, and I think he's like, because I was saying like I now know that if I'm with a band, I'm all right. If I'm by myself, I kind of push and I just nudge myself back 10 milliseconds, I'm good. But the bass players, he's saying lots of the good ones are actually ahead. So it doesn't land at the same point
yeah.
that the kick does.
kick
I
does,
should
yeah.
And
caveat
it
that
keeps
by
pushing
saying
it.
that is actually kind of the secret. Like Rudy plays ahead. I'm on the drums. I'm always behind. Monty's usually dead center.
Yeah.
So that does give us that push
That's
and
the
pull, which
Stones
is what
thing.
rock and roll is.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
to
I'm a bit
always just
ahead
be
or
like-
Yeah.
I'm ridiculously behind.
yeah.
as long as you're consistently ahead.
Well,
or
yeah,
consistently in
and
the
as long
center.
as everyone's doing the dance, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
which is like that. It's the classic, and that comes from the the double bass on swinging on the
Totally.
pop and the drums doing the,
Yep.
kind of shuffling, and then Chuck's up there doing
And the
ding,
weird
ding,
awkward
ding,
slap
ding,
back
ding,
on
ding,
something.
ding. Yeah,
that,
yeah, totally.
sounds
yeah.
like it's behind the beat. But like, what's inspiring you guys at the moment individually? Like, that's obviously going back into the past. What I know about you, but what's happening right now that you find kind of
I'm really into the romance of string sections again.
wow?
Like I've been over in Italy a couple of times over the last few months, and even before that, like just I've gone back into strings.
Love
again.
it. Let's back that.
Just like I've listened, like I've been just like Madness have amazing string arrangements. This is going back to the
Nah,
British.
that's absolutely bang on.
That and Across 110th Street by
Billy Joel?
Is it
No,
Bobby
that's 52nd.
Womack?
Okay,
no,
yeah.
no, but fuck.
Who
Hang on.
sings Our House? That's Madness.
That's Madness.
Madness.
Yeah,
That is like
that is
insane.
Wild. Hang on, we can
Put
edit
that on like in
Yeah.
your own time and have a listen to that and like.
Across 110th Street. I'm gonna pull my phone out and do the old.
Well, you shut up. I can answer this question.
Oh, it is Bobby Womack. Yeah,
Oh, it
so
is
I've been
Bobby
getting,
Womack.
I've been getting that, and then there's all these like, Italian sort of like soundtrack writers and stuff. It's a Piero Umiliani. I think I got that right. And he's like, because everyone knows the Giorgio Moroder's and stuff,
Yeah.
but over there we'd just be cooking food and then just putting all these like Italian sort of half of them instrumental. And this guy used to do all the just B grade sort of like kind of, what do they call them, tit and ass movies back then. Like he'd do it, but the soundtrack is amazing and it's just a beautiful like this is I'm into strings.
Love
And
it.
then Joy Crook's a relatively modern English artist.
Joey Crook,
Joy Crooks.
Joy Crooks.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's got a bit of that East London sort of hip hoppy sort of thing, but then just it's like drums, bass, vocals, and just beautiful strings.
Wow.
So I've been getting into strings.
I'm loving I've just kind of fallen in love with Irish music and old Celtic kind of stuff, mainly for the storytelling. Again, it comes back to kind of the lyrics. It's always the same four chords, but there's something in the timbre of the violins mixing with these kind of plucked instruments, and I don't know. There's something that I've been like really, really falling into hard, and I've been getting into a lot of kind of Irish literature and stuff like that, and I think it comes back to the storytelling element that I really love.
Storytelling, and I mean they're rhythmic masters too,
Yeah.
right? Because it's all there's some drums, but it's like the instrumentalists are rhythmic. It's like the foundation of bluegrass music.
Yeah,
The
Which
authors
is why
and
they
poets
pride
out of
themselves on
Ireland.
rhythm.
yeah, totally.
They have to do it all themselves, you know.
Apart from that, I think I love this whole Italian tits and ass disco era stuff. You gotta have to send me some of that stuff.
Yeah. Pino D'Angio.
Apart from that, I've just been listening to Lil Sims. I think she's like,
Yeah, she's
I
right.
had a bit of an epiphany after seeing her last year, and I was like, she's surely like sent from God to do this great. Like she had a absolutely flawless show, and as a performer myself, I'm like always looking for some glitch. You know, I even saw Lenny do one the other night. I'm not going to mention what it was, but it's like, gotcha. You know, like,
If you were James Brown, you would have been like,
Yeah, fine.
yeah. That's $10 you're docked. But yeah, Lil Sims, just I don't know. The last
Wow.
3 albums have just been incredible from the production, again the lyrical element. She's very educated. Like she's I don't
Yeah.
think she sounds like she's probably she's not from the housing commission or something. She's had a good education, you can tell. And the stuff that she talks about and the way she brings in themes and subject matters, yeah, she's really blown my mind as an artist.
I had a little interesting, read a little interesting tidbit about Gorilla, and because that's the thing, it's like, it's why we all love the British approach to production and sort of songwriting
That
and
track
that
in
stuff, which
particular
I
is
guess
out of control.
going back to the Dips, that's got a big UK sort of vibe. But
They
there's an
called
interview.
it, the reviews at the time called it Brit Hop.
Brit hop. I
It's
can hear
about-
that. Like,
Yeah.
Cross between hip hop and Brit pop.
Yeah. Love that.
And for that little Sim song, it's like 70% of the recording budget was going into Air Studio and tracking all the horns and strings with an orchestra. Like
I didn't know
that.
I thought that was all sampled.
No, they blew most of the budget.
Wow.
I know that.
So good.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard it. I'm
Oh
happy to
man,
pop it on.
It's
we'll
sick.
put it on after this.
Yeah. So one of my earliest memories of working with both of you was the EP that we tracked at Sony Studios in 2010, maybe. And that left such a lasting impression on me that I've taken so much of what I learned in that session through to what I do today. We recorded live to tape. you guys assembled a larger band than your live band, which included like myself and a couple of other people. Jordan was playing congas and Nikki Futcher was
Ian was
there.
on
And
keys.
yeah, there was a lot of different people, but it was recording live and getting that kind of talking to each other idea where everyone can hear one another and they're responding. Even if it's imperceptible at the time, there is a cohesiveness there. And that kind of really, really obviously, I mean, that's how Sweet Talk still operates. That's how I choose to record most bands if I can. But you know, that's utilizing sort of old school technology, recording to tape and then mixing it analog. And I know you guys still probably, well, do you still work like that? And I know you've pivoted into kind of more sample based or Pro Tools or DAW based stuff. But is that still something you kind of return to, or is it more an ethos thing that you've bought from there?
Well, better question for Rudy, but I'd say we still have a toe in both ponds.
Yeah, if it calls for it, I feel like you got to service the song, and there's no point trying, like if a song needs to be that sort of like sampley, chopped uppy sort of vibe, there's no point trying to force it to not be that. And if it calls for just band, room, at least as the basis for it, then he's got to just go with whatever's going to service it the best.
You know, I also think we would have, that kind of turned into a bit of a necessity as well, because for every band or outfit, like, you know, COVID affected everything. And that was the first time we physically couldn't even get into the same state as each other, because we live, you know, half of us are in Sydney, half of us in Melbourne. So we actually didn't have the option to do it like that anymore. So that's when we started doing, me and Monty would, you know, do the drums and bass, and we'd send it down to Rudy, and him and Jesse would go in. But like, I think it's a case by case scenario. And with this band we were just talking about off air, Liquid Zoo, we had them, you know, all live playing. You know, we were running it to tape as well, and that puts a good amount of pressure on it as well. You know, with Sweet Talk stuff, it's like, you know, like if once that hiss is going, it's like shit.
It's
like,
half the psychology as well, right? Like, because you can get tape plugins, all that sort of stuff for the sound, but something about just like, all right, this is happening. This is, this is doing it. And even just like having to wait 2 minutes for it to rewind allows you to mentally reset.
Yeah.
And going back to the Sony studios and lots of like, you know, I even do it in DAWs. It's like, you're not looking and you're just listening. You're not looking at curves. You're not looking at fucking graphs and like,
yeah, well,
SPL
sometimes you
meters.
just turn the screen off when we do playbacks and be like, because
everyone stares at the next, they can see the chorus coming in from the waveform.
Yeah, and it's like it forces you to think on your feet, and then there's more likelihood of beautiful mistakes. Whereas like, you know, and then it's like, hang on a second, what was that? You know, that sort of thing, as opposed to if you're looking at everything and you're analyzing it, you're just out of the moment. And that's...
So it kind of brings me to my next idea. Like, I remember you were very much a guitar player, drummer, engineer for a long time. And I remember that at one point you decided to pivot into understanding synthesis. And really, you went deep, man.
Yeah.
I remember working with Harley, and you had the synthesizers and the drum machines. Obviously, like, technology changes, you change your method with it. But I'm sure we were going to talk about this earlier, but obviously with AI coming in and, you know, keeping ahead of technology, letting technology like inspire you and stuff. Like, how are you guys feeling about that? About AI? Have you found any creative usages for it? You know, what do you think about it? It's hard. It's even hard to formulate a question around it because we know so little about its capabilities. We know so little about how it's going to influence creativity moving forward. So it's kind of like, where's your head at with the AI stuff?
I mean, you go first.
I'm the more nerdy one. I'm intrigued about it's fascinating to me. And I'm just like, all right. And I've been messing around with things and just like throwing things into getting it to do covers of songs that already exist. And even though like most of I go like, ugh. But every so often it's like, what the fuck was that chord? You know, like there are moments where you could use it it's like, I'm thinking the way I might end up using it or doing it is like having another person in the room that you've never met but might have a good idea and throw it, or just pretty much it's just like it's another limitation, another curveball thrown into the thing, and then it's not like, all right, write me a song and you just play it. It's like, I did not think of that chord change, and you try to work that out and use that into your own sort of song, and then you might never use it, but it's just another weird curveball.
I think that's
I think you can embrace.
That's a really healthy, positive way of looking at it. I don't look at it like that at all, but that's cool to hear. I'm kind of so terrified by AI
Yeah,
But, I wouldn't even let my head go there, but that is interesting, yeah, because sometimes it's like, again, we were talking about it off air, the way that AI, brings things together, mashes it up and spews it out. It's way off sometimes, but sometimes there's something in that a human being could be like, well, hang on, let me pull that out.
Yeah, and you replay it.
I don't know. I feel very grateful that we're around as musicians in a time where AI was not a thing we then had to consider, and we could just play our songs and come up with our silly lyrics and not be worried about any of that. But we're here now. I think that we're already starting to see watered down elements of artistry because of AI. But you're right, Rudy. Maybe the switch can be flipped if artists can take control of it for what it is. Because, I mean,
this has taken all the IP crap and all that other shit out of the equation completely.
The thing that concerns me about it, Dave, is like, and this is not really new, but like I feel like it's something that, for me, it's like my strengths are, I know what it's kind of like the syncopation thing, rhythm, and the lyrics and all that stuff we've spent for the last 15 years building that world of the Delta Rigs is all about, these wordings, groupings, and things we've talked about. If someone just ingests like 5 albums of a Delta Rigs lyrical, component into AI, surely it can spit out a great Delta Rigs album. Like you'd have to be an idiot not to. Like, well, it's not. It's clearly quite intelligent, but like, do you know what I mean? It's like there's
totally. Yeah,
I just don't hope. I hope it's just it'll end up. It won't be everyone, but it'll just be like. It'll just turn music into wallpaper. That's the only thing. Is like every cafe will just be like, I can't be fucked paying the opera thing. I was just gonna.
The thing that worries me is that I feel like Spotify's end game is to have a premium subscription service where almost all of it is AI generated and they don't have to pay royalties. Yeah. Because there was a study done recently where 90% of the layperson could not tell the difference between AI generated content and human generated content. And if they can't tell the difference, it doesn't mean they don't care. They do care, but if they don't know. And a company like Spotify is charging them $20 a month for stuff that they don't realize is AI. Yeah. It's like it's a bait and switch almost, right? So then I start thinking, well, like, why do you wear handmade shoes? It's because like I could buy a pair of knockoff, snakeskin boots for $200, but I can spend $1,000 on handmade ones because a human being made it, and I want to pay the premium for the human interaction. Yeah. I wonder if we're just going to pivot towards like the premium being for process. Like when you go see a show, you watch a band play live, you're there experiencing music being made and it will never happen again. And no amount of iPhone footage is going to put you there.
Or you could go and see the ABBA show, which is just the virtual versions, which is like, I'm guessing is what Kiss are going to come out with in the next few years. And the show's going to be perfect and sound great, but you're not going to get...
You're not there seeing Kiss.
Last night, we were in Brisbane and I, admittedly... I'm the singer of a band. I have diva moments. I'm not always proud of them, but they do happen. And the second song in, I've got a stage fan behind me that's like I usually walk over to cool down in between songs. In between the first song, it wasn't on, and I kind of looked at it, and I looked at our stage check and was like, can we get the fan going? Went over there, and the second time, it wasn't on again. So I just fucking picked the thing up like a bowling ball and just fucking hoofed it across the stage. And I saw a few people
block this.
Man, it went right behind you. But a few people were like, what the fuck? Like, AI can't do that shit.
AI can't do that.
And neither can the ABBA show.
That's right.
And then they can't do that. And it's also like,
so what is art without the diva moment though, right? Yeah. Like you need to have...
We need Prince firing the fucking monitors guy on the spot. That's what we want to see.
And on the other side, the Luddites wanted to burn down the factories which incorporated automated weaving machines or whatever. Yeah. And then that did, it's like...
Which made the jeans that we wear today.
Yeah, but then that didn't stop the artisan, handmade, bespoke tailors and stuff. Yeah. It's anything, maybe it'll help separate the shit. Like maybe like people actually are...
Well, I guess what we're all struggling with in the music industry these days, because you guys tour a lot, and we were just talking about off air, like about how loss leader the touring industry is in Australia. You've got a tour and you make a loss, but you hope to make it up somewhere else with a big fee here or a sink there or whatever.
Touring for the rigs is marketing expense. We don't make money off touring.
Totally. So because we're not making money off of our records anymore, I wonder if there will be a pushback against the AI, because right now all of our money goes to streaming services. So if those streaming services stop selling our product, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's good that they start selling the slop that AI creates so that we can now premium package our goods for people who want to buy This is
I
my
like this.
hopeful thing,
That's
you know?
getting me excited.
So now
At
it's
least
like,
someone has some
it's like
angle.
back to vinyl, back to CD.
Yeah.
It's like, because in Japan has the most healthy record buying market in the world.
You would probably we
Second highest-
sell more vinyls than we do CDs.
We do
have
too.
for years.
Man,
you know,
to get it to recoup an album, it's 10 million streams or 600 vinyl. If you spend $30,000 on an album, you're going to sell 600 vinyl before you get 10 million streams.
Yep.
You know, so like that model is still there. So Japan, they still buy like limited edition vinyls with the I forget what the strip's called, but the strip on the front
Yeah.
and some signed cards inside. Like maybe it just goes back there.
Kind of like digital music is a marketing and awareness tool now.
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah. If you can cut through the AI slop.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
which is pretty interesting. So if you got something to say.
No, I really like where you're going with it
going.
because that just got me thinking like this whole kind of like it's this Socrates kind of thing, like you know. Fucking no, I'm going to go too deep. I'm not.
No.
Gonna go into Socrates.
I want to hear it.
Okay, well, it's like, you know, imagine a race of people that are underground and they've never seen light, so they don't know depth, they don't know shade, they don't know sun, they don't know, you know. One day, one of these cave people goes outside and he sees the sun and he sees his shadow and he sees depth and he sees, you know, the sun setting and he goes back down to these people and he says, oh, well, like, you know, what we know down here is not actually true. Up there, there's, you know, the world is not flat. There's, you know, all this stuff and Socrates says, like, what is the most likely thing that will happen? Will the gang go upstairs and discover that for themselves, or will they be too scared and will they just kill the guy that told them, and they'll just kill the guy that told them
Yeah.
that? Because
We tend to do that in humanity.
that's what we do. So
Yeah.
that's just when you just were looking at me like that. My cogs are thinking everything you said about AI. I love it, but I'm wondering whether we have the, you know, I'm not worried about the musicians or the artists. I'm worried about what we call the Barry Blacktowns. That is just your electrician out in Footoskray.
Yeah,
Or, you know, like, that
yeah.
just puts on Triple M and hears the shit. He's just, like you said, he's just going to listen to what he hears. He's not going to seek out Sweet Talk.
No.
He's not going to find this podcast
Yeah.
and be like, oh, these guys are onto something. He's just going to hear the stuff that's on the radio. So, yeah, I like what you're saying. I hope that's the case, but I don't know. I think humanity needs to rise to the you know,
and
come
at
to
times,
the dance.
at times, I think it needs to be a supply side thing. Like we've become cucks, for want of a better term, to the streaming services. You know, Daniel X got more money than Paul McCartney. You know, and it's because
Who is Daniel X?
Daniel Ek is the owner of Spotify.
Oh,
You know, he's got $800 million or
Swedish
something.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
And, you know, he's divesting into all sorts of military technologies, which people find, you know.
It's the antithesis of
that's
what
not
most
what we do.
artists want.
No.
Our weapons are our instruments.
Yeah, that's right. Our axes.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, like, I feel like it's got to come from, it's going to have to be a disruption from, the listening public, but the artists. At some stage, the artists have to push back and go, you know what, we don't want to not get paid to give our music away anymore.
Yeah.
Like we want people to value it and to pay for it. There's all sorts of cool stuff happening in the futures space. So there's all these companies that are now selling shares in songs. So catalog is being sold, right? So Springsteen sells his catalog to Warner's, and then they sell shares of that catalog to potential buyers who then own a piece of that. And if it potentially goes on to make money, they earn money
They earn
from
dividends
that.
off it.
Yes. And so what they're starting to do is sell futures in people's catalogs. So
So corporate.
It is. But yeah.
Fucking
I
throw
know.
up. Like,
Yeah. But this is
but
what
this wasn't Bruce's decision or Paul's
No.
or Kevin Parker's. What did he sell his for? Like,
yeah.
But you know,
Crazy,
someone
mate.
made a
300
good
million.
point about actually, as again, someone I don't want to say, but very high profile artist. When there's that sale of Kevin Parker's back catalogue happened, and I said to him, "What do you think about that? Because your back catalogue's pretty strong as well, you know." And he goes, "Well, what Kevin has done there is he's just not thinking about his kids or his grandkids or their grandkids. He's just thinking about him and his missus right now." And it was like bang on. It's true. It's like, yeah, he gets 500 million. But like that's it, you know. But if he had have just kept that stuff in his lineage and just like, you know,
Songwriting.
If someone offered you 500 million today,
yeah,
though,
I
you'd
know.
take it.
I hear you.
songs,
I hear you.
songs are kind of like blue chip investments.
Was it
in a way.
500 million? Did I just make that?
300,
figure
I
up?
think.
300.
But, you know, but you could be right too. But what they're starting to do now for songwriters is actually get people to pay in advance for shares in songs that have not yet been written. So you can basically become
love that.
basically become a patron. You can get patrons just like in the 16th century.
But that's not a new thing, Dave, because I
No.
feel like that's what
That's what record labels did.
And publishers. Like,
Yeah.
I'm, you know, basically a publisher will look at me like, okay, you've written
But
these
it's
massive songs.
crowdsourcing the publishing, right?
Yeah, well, that's the only
Yeah,
difference.
which is
But there's
interesting.
still, it's a projection of what they think you're capable of doing.
And you're still selling your IP,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's a bit different than Patreon, where people are just happy to pay for an album that's
Gotcha.
not made
Yeah,
yet,
okay.
whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting time, and people are just scrambling to find a response to it. But yeah, something in me believes if Aaron Williams still exists and people are willing to pay for handmade boots,
And a Kubra, which is
And a
a
Kubra.
small family from Dubbo.
Totally.
You know, they employ, I think, 43 people.
yeah,
They are making the entire,
Yeah.
like, you know, specs for a Kubra across the globe.
Yeah.
43 people.
and if
out
they
of
still
Dubbo.
exist and people are still willing to pay for it, there will be that moment for musicians, I think. If you've got quality, it's a meritocracy at the end of the day, right? Like you've got to have value that people want. But if you've got something that's cool about you, there will be a way, you know? Like there'll be a way for the water to find its way down the cracks of the rocks, I think. I hope.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting volatile sort of moment where everyone,
Really
it's
volatile
it's just
moment,
uncharted territory, sort of borderline cultural revolution shit.
It is. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's revolutionary for sure. I mean, right now there's a Billboard number one country song is an AI artist. You know?
What? I just wish I didn't know that. Like,
yeah.
is that true?
Yeah, it is. It is
Yeah, I
true.
can't
yeah.
remember.
He's not even real?
No.
Or they are not even real?
No, it isn't real. No.
And it's number one.
Yeah, apparently so.
It
Billboard
was for,
country.
a week or two or something.
Yeah. Yeah, but until people find out, until this
and
consumer
then they get
finds
over it.
out, and then like, fuck that, you know?
Yeah. They feel duped.
But
It's
poor old
because
they
country
would.
music, they kind of did it to themselves because a lot of the stuff that comes out sounds pretty fucking robotic.
I totally
The
agree.
amount of auto-tune on some of it, you're like, why? It's country music. Fuck that off.
I don't know why they did that, but I feel like that's
Pop
just a
music with
movement.
hat.
Yeah.
Well, no, they don't. They don't wear hats anymore. They wear those
Oh, they got
the
trucker
trucker
caps,
caps, and they dress in like
'Cause
they
you can
wear
sell 'em.
Fox and
You can sell them. They're merchandise.
See, my
Yeah,
favorite
yeah,
use
yeah.
of AI is that dude who just takes different songs and ruins them.
I had a great one though. Like, and one of our 7 drummers in the Delta Rig sent me one the other day, and it was like a Limp Bizkit song done by a Motown outfit, and it slapped. I was like, I sent it to my wife. I was like, you should be working out to this.
Is it an older dude with a beard just sitting there going like this?
It was
Just
like-
one of those days.
He just-
Yeah. It was like,
I heard a Queens of the Stone Age one. It was like, and done like the same
Oh,
thing.
yeah. That screams for a tight shuffle.
And there's like, I was like, this is
I
actually.
want to
sick.
hear that. So
Yeah.
this is the problem with it.
But having said that though, that would not have
It
sounded
doesn't
good.
like that.
yeah.
That wouldn't have sounded as good if it wasn't a good song to start with.
That's right. That's
And
right.
it's not like
and
it
so who
made
writes
it.
the songs? We do.
Well, no, apparently not. There's a
Yeah.
number one song written.
Yeah,
by
I haven't
an AI.
heard it. We should.
But
We should
Also-
listen to that. Yeah.
Also, I remember when all this stuff came, like there was this accounting firm that was like AI powered accounting, and they got slammed
Yeah.
because it wasn't. It was just crowdsourced. So they had like
Using Fiverr.
50,000 people working on little small moments and playing it off, and they got a big lawsuits for privacy. So it's like, who is it? They could have just said it's AI, but they could have had a team of writers behind it, write
Yeah.
it, use it to do a like. It
That's
could all
true.
just be fucking
and then people are googling AI.
smoke
and
and
it
mirrors,
comes
like
up.
that Psyche band that came out, and they said, "Oh no, it's an art project." It's like, all right.
So yeah, I mean, we're all worried
Yeah.
about. But okay, so let's take that out of the equation.
Yeah.
What's next for you guys? What's 2026 looking like?
Individually or for the rigs or what's the?
I want to hear probably about the rigs.
Stop being so busy with everything else and do some more songs.
Yeah, we have been. This Kaiser Chiefs tour just landed on our laps. We've been so busy this year. Rudy's been, overseas working with Nick, and I've been on the Dope Lemon album cycle, and Monty's been doing this band called the Beefs.
And then we've been. I feel like we've been the band for other people. Like,
Yeah, well, we've been out, but working for other people. Yeah, we were out with Rev and the Makers and Billy Corgan, obviously, and stuff. But yeah, I think for us next year, we are trying to get a new record going with a band like ours, like much like yourselves. We've already got 3 records sitting on a SoundCloud. Like so it's like about which kind of record we want to release, and also just trying to. I don't know. I'm getting really. I don't know if I'm just getting old now, but like very protective of this kind of art form of rock and roll, which I really believe in more than I mean, I've always believed in it, but I just used to do it effortlessly. I'm still do it effortlessly, but now I think I've got some like, you know, I feel like a bit of a patron that needs to protect this art form, and I do feel like Australians do rock and roll better than anyone else in the world. We always have. Our biggest exports have always been, you know, the Easy Beats or AC/DC or In Excess or Tame Impala, Jet, Wolfmother, the Vines. Like we know how to do rock and roll. That's what we do. All this other bullshit that we pretend like we know, like no one knows, and respectfully, no one knows who fucking Amy Shark is over in the States. No one knows who Guy Sebastian is. Who's that other one? Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, whatever. We do rock and roll.
Yeah.
I want to, next year, I think, you know, try and
make a rock and roll record.
Hearing you talk about Sony, the Sony thing makes me want to do it like that.
Well, I want to just make sure that this is the thing, I guess, that us working outside of the rigs has allowed us to do. We've been able to protect the legacy of the rigs, which is why we're still relevant and why we're still here, because we haven't had to do that, you know, like Triple M fucking thing or like what you were talking about with the country music. Like we've been able to go, okay, we can keep this special.
Yeah.
We don't have to sell it out. We don't have to, you know, but I feel like there's it's kind of, I feel like there's a bit of a call to arms happening in even this conversation with AI and Australian music and rock and roll, and where I feel like we need to kind of throw our hat back onto the table and throw down a bit, because we've largely been a little bit out of the conversation for a couple of years.
But you've kept your toes in the pond, right? Like because of your incredible careers that both of you have, that's kept your name bubbling away, right?
Yeah,
and you're not leaving the industry. You're working parallel to what you love.
It's like somehow around, but haven't put out a song in a couple of years.
I think that we're working, Rudy and I right now working with some great up and coming bands that we both really believe in, and so I'd like to be able to springboard that next year as well. And I love I love this whole idea of passing down the kind of, you know, like...
Totally. It's so interesting you mentioned that, because one thing I did want to talk about was just like mentorship. And I feel like that's one thing that gets ripped out of the music industry the more that we go into these siloed worlds of producing in our own home. The way you came up in the industry, which was going into studios, yourself as well as a session player, going into studios and learning off people that were better than you. Now we're learning off YouTube, and we don't have that immediate feedback from a mentor. I think it's so important to be able to give that back to younger people.
It's so true. We had, like, I think, you know, people like Scott Horscroft who have, you know, done huge records and stuff that have, you know, Rudy and I work with him a lot. He loves this idea as well of like getting people in the room together again. And even just the throwback of like, you know, when the rigs were popping off and like, you know, the Hoodoo Gurus call us up and they're like, guys, can we come down to the studio? You're onto something. We want to know, you know, the Hoodoo Gurus just turned up to 301 just to sit in on our session. Like, it was fucking cool. Like we're kind of doing that shit now, you know, like when we're seeing these other up and coming bands. I mean, like, we like what you're doing. We don't know how to help, but like, we just want to come and hang out with you. And obviously, like Rudy was saying before, if there's a slipstream where we can, like, you can avoid the mistakes that we made. Yeah. Here's the formula for that. Or here's the people you need to know to do this. Or here's the booking agent you should be talking to. It's all good shit.
It's
like,
powerful
that's why I always
stuff.
try to get assistance in.
You're great at that. You know, you're always asking.
Because that's how I learned. It's like even just one of the most important things I learned from just being an assistant. Didn't even say nothing. I didn't have to say anything. It's just like doing an acoustic guitar, and the singer's out there just doing something, some bullshit, and it's just like he's like ready to sing, went straight mic, straight to vocal, didn't touch anything, just bam in, and I was like, and it was fucking compressing, and I was like, so it's about like bottling lightning. It's like if you're going like, oh, maybe it's gonna get the vocal gone.
Totally.
And you won't learn that from
Yeah.
Unless you're there observing someone else.
Yeah. If you learn everything off YouTube or the sanitized way of working, you would think that everything needs to have 2 to 3 dB of gain reduction and everything's got to be perfect. But when that singer's ready to sing, like if you listen to an old Wilson Pickett record and you hear how much distortions on that because he's hitting the input so hard
and shit like that.
Totally. And that's what I
dialing
fucking
in the
love
vocals
about it.
while they're doing the track. It's
Yeah.
like,
we went to school together. Like we went to the conservatorium together, and those weren't. I mean, we both learned a lot of stuff, and we both had our own favorite lecturers and people that influenced us. But we weren't having conversations like this.
No.
It was a very sterile studio thing, and
we were basically learning how not to clip shit.
That's right, and just to be a vanilla engineer that knew how to roll cables and be like, stay out of the way.
Yeah,
we don't do any of that shit. That's not how Rudy and I. That's not what's given us success doing this stuff.
Yeah,
no way. We roll cable, sure.
Yeah.
But,
Not if you don't have to. Though.
Yeah, it's kind of like if someone says don't, he's like, you can't do that. It's like, well, I'm
Why
now,
not?
I'm not only going to do it, I'm going to do it twice as
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And just like embracing fucking limitations and yeah, well, that shit. It's always been a little punk rock sort of, it's just like, no, all right, that's what I'm going to do then.
Yeah.
Like,
But you know what it comes down to, though? This is the thing. It comes down to the fact that you both have taste and you know what that taste is. Like you're a product of all of the music you've listened to and you know how to apply it because that's your personality, right? So you can, the wrong tool in the wrong hands, like some of those kids need to learn that shit, I suppose, but you learn that stuff and then you learn how to break it.
Yeah.
Because you know what you love. So I guess the thing is, like, as a songwriter and as a player, like, I'm not the right guy for the gig if what I come up with in the first 3 or 4 goes at coming up with something isn't the right thing. You know what I mean? I'm not the right guy for the gig.
Yeah.
If I send you a mix and then
See, that's so fucking cool of
Yeah.
you to be up. That's the kind of thing that you need to be able to do as well.
Yeah.
Like be up, like, I'm going to step out here. Maybe this is not
Maybe it's not me.
Someone else can.
Yeah.
That's a huge.
so that's like
thing,
about
isn't it?
ego, right? It's about like letting the ego go and
if
be
you're not
like,
getting
I'm
fired,
just probably not this right
if
guy.
you're not getting fired, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Every so often.
Well, it's the same
not
as
all
we
the
were
time.
talking about in the studio. Whoever can play the song, the instrument the best is the guy that does it. It's it's that as well. It's like,
Dropping egos is a big
yeah,
thing.
maybe I don't need to be here. Maybe
Yeah.
I've over scrambled this egg. You know.
Yeah.
I love it. All right,
Even
guys.
just- yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go
No, I
ahead.
was going to say, I was just thinking back about like, not mentorship, but just being around people. I remember this guy's like, he's like, all right, can you mark up these guitars? So I was like, oh, yes, I'm going to do it perfectly. He's like, he's prominent. Actually, he worked with NXS and a whole bunch of other artists. And he's like, is that how you do it? He's like, yeah, you could do it. It's like, oh, do you want to see how to record rock and roll guitars? And he just walked off and just kicked them and then walked out of the room.
Yeah, you told me the story.
Yeah.
So he actually did this recently with Liquid Zoo.
And I did the same. And I did
And
that.
I
love
loved
it.
it though because
Pass it on directly.
the guitarist is a younger Rudy and he's like, I've just got this combo amp, just want to know how to mic it up. I've been looking on YouTube with these. And Rudy just walked in and was like, well, yeah, do you want me to show you how we do it? And just kicked the fucking stand. It's like, all right, I'm gonna go and get a level.
I love it. But that's passing the baton
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
right? We're all at the end of the day, we're all teachers. We just need to age into it sometimes. You know what I mean? Because someone had to teach us. Alex
Cheers, Dave.
Markwell,
Have fun.
Elliot Hammond.
Hell, man.
Thank you so
Elliot
much.
Hammond.
Anytime.
Appreciate
Dave
you.
Turner, thank you very much.
Thanks for being
Alex
here.
Markwell. Dave Turner.
Elliot Hammond, Alex Markwell.